Dear boomers, are you a victim of ageism, self induced self loathing? I think most older people in our society are. Why? What does this mean? Well, first of all, what is ageism? I believe it can be applied to both older and younger people, although the researchers today mainly target the older people for having the ageist views against them, but the younger people often complain that they're not taken seriously, that they are not seen as intelligent people who actually have remedies for the societal ills that we need to fix. And the people who have grown old also are discounted for their views on helping society overcome these many problems with discrimination, racism. And so this definitely is what is going on. Uh, because we live in a society that is very ageist, there's no doubt about it. You can see it with the news, you can see it with advertising, you can see it with just the way people relate to older people. And as in the case of Tim Dillon and his comedy act, he doesn't realize that even if everybody who comes to my channel says he's a comedian, come on, give him a break. Well, that kind of, he could elevate his comedy act to be more loving. And when you actually are bashing older people, and then you're hiding behind the defense that it's funny, you are actually causing so much more harm than good. So, Breaking the Age Code is a book written by Professor Levy from Yale University, and it's called, as I said, Breaking the Age Code. And she has been very aware of ageism, and she is an expert in gerontology and ageism, and how to do something about it in our society. In fact, I have invited her to come on my show, similarly as I had with Will Johnson, and we will discuss this in depth. I have just written her a letter, and I'm hoping to hear from her soon, although I don't really have any expectations, although I would love to have her on the show. So, Breaking the Age Code is so fascinating because Professor Levy had decided that she was going to go and study a society that had no ageism and a society that actually revered the wisdom of older people. So before she went to Japan to do that, she went to visit, I believe it was her grandmother, I'll just say that it is, who actually had a very engaging sense of self-worth, and she seemed to rise above the ageism of our society. She was pretty old, maybe in her mid-80s, was gardening, was discussing vital subjects with a cognitive brain. And when you are older and you use your brain in that capacity, the brain is very happy to create neuropathways that help anybody who continues to think and to feel and to become emotionally and intellectually intelligent. So she went to visit her grandmother, and her grandmother was, as usual, had a lot of vitality. She was outside gardening, she was talking to the neighbors, she had a social system, and they went to the supermarket, and her grandmother fell and scuffed her shin, and it started bleeding profusely. So they went to the manager of the store, and her grandmother said, this shouldn't have been placed in such a way, and it's dangerous. And he said, well, what do you expect? You're older, you're old. People like you fall all the time. And that reminds me of a newspaper article I saw yesterday about how the fire companies aren't going out to help older people get up after they fall because they have no compassion for that. But nevertheless, when her grandmother, getting back to the Professor Levy's grandmother, she did not complain about her injury, but she went home and she seemed to become less resilient. She seemed to shy away from taking on any new. I think she started to feel very badly about what that man said to her in the supermarket. But the next day she regained her self-confidence, and she went on being the brave soul that she always was. But it's when that man confronted her in an ageist way. And that is one of the things that can be very detrimental. When you are treated less than, you're treated, or even invisible, or if you're treated like an idiot and not having any regard for the experience that you do bring to the table, that has a debilitating effect on your consciousness. And that is what I wish to and am exploring on this channel. Let me just say that I have invited Professor Levy to come on, or is it Levy, to this channel to discuss her book, which is called the Breaking the Age Code. Breaking the Age Code. There's so many ways that the society, American society, as opposed to other societies, treats their elderly people. They're throwaways, really. And not only that, it's become political, and I think I read by 2050, 1 in 3 people will be over the age of 60. So really, it's our responsibility now to counteract these and to remedy this ridiculous concept of aging in our society, American society, although they do say that ageism is an epidemic across the world, but nothing like it is here. So the narrative of decline as we age is harmful, it's wrong, and when people actually believe their beliefs about aging and their beliefs about, it's all these false beliefs about aging that I find fascinating, and that can be counteracted with really awareness about the way you think, the way you talk to yourself, the awareness of the thoughts that come in that you immediately recognize about your age. And so you have to become aware of these things. You don't just kind of drift along unconsciously, taking it all in and believing anything that has to do with who you are as a human being as you age. To believe in continued growth and value at any age is important for societal health. These mechanisms through which ageist attitudes are internalized and the psychological effects on the elderly are perhaps the reason why there is such depression, there's such need for medication of course the doctors over-medicate elderly people, then of course there is the side effects inherent in those dangerous drugs, especially for the elderly. And what happens is that people withdraw from society, they become depressed, and as a result, it reduces the quality of life. And then another thing that happens is the price of healthcare costs go up, the loss of valuable intergenerational knowledge between the young and the old is depleted, and as a result, we have a society that has proven to devalue the wonderful potential contributions of the elderly. We need to prevent this. I mean, this is what this channel is evolving into. We need to revere our elderly. We need to help them have positive self-image. We need to help them define their false beliefs as they arise. and about aging, about money, about anything that they think is limiting, because we have no limits. And as we age, we also feel that there is an infinite, timeless worldview within our souls regarding life. We know we're going into a realm where the unknown exists, and we know. And so when we embrace the idea of infinity and eternal life, that is not Christian necessarily, but eternal life, that is the truth of all religions. It's the truth of what we know to be true in our souls. Eternal life means there is no linear time, and it means that that linear time cannot define us. So here we go. We need this cultural shift, which actually has to happen from within. It has to start with me. I can't even begin to think that the culture is going to do anything to accelerate this consciousness that we need to embrace, which is we are the boomers. Please subscribe to this channel. I need to get, and will be getting, 1,000 subscribers by the end of May. This is my way, when that happens, to continue giving these talks to you. And I did, as I may have mentioned, invite Dr. Levy to come onto this channel and discuss her book and discuss her research. And like I did with Will Johnson and his meditation techniques, I believe her perspective is needed in this little realm. We need to bring the older people to this channel, and we need to have a cross-cultural, cross-generational discussion about what it means to grow old. Did I mention that when she went to Japan, she noticed that the people there were absolutely enthralled with their age. They were treated like royalty. They were lifting weights in the park. Kind of like my cousin, who lived in Japan for 40 years, and he lifts weights at 93, 3 times a week, and he has so much vitality. And I believe, now that I think about it, after reading a little bit about how the Japanese revere their old and probably their young, that they, as a result of the way they treat their elderly, there is no ageism in their society whatsoever. And this lack of false belief in aging in that society has made even, the diet, even though the diet has dwindled with the American fast food industry going into that culture, nevertheless, people are still living to a very ripe old age. And it's because of the false beliefs do not exist about aging. So there you have it. Please subscribe. Love to all. Peace on earth. Bye-bye.